Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, coming at you live to talk about the first episode of a brand new anime series called Koi wa Ameagari no yo ni, I believe is how it's pronounced, which translates to Love is Like After the Rain. A little petrichor for you right there, which hails back to Doctor Who. I'm a Whovian, I'm a Doctor Who fan, and the first time I ever heard petrichor and what it means, look it up, has to do with the scent after a rainfall and everything like that. I just told you. I just told you what it means. In any case, this show was not on my radar at all whatsoever. Going back like a month and a half, 2 months ago, when I started looking through all the PVs and reading synopses for, series that were going to be debuting in the winter 2018 season, this was not on my radar at all whatsoever. Hadn't gotten my attention. In fact, I didn't really know even about it, that it existed up until, I want to say, sometime over the last week. I started to see PVs of it slipping into my recommended feed on YouTube and such like that. And I was impressed with the character design, the art, the artistic flavor there and everything like that. And but it was not something that had caught my attention. I didn't know when it was coming out or anything like that. And it just so happened to fall on a Wednesday, which is sort of my nothing comes out day, anime-wise. It's like my one free day, kind of, sort of, for the week, as we're still, there are a bunch of shows still oncoming that I want to check out for the winter 2018 season, first episodes and such like that. But carrying over from the previous season, pretty much Wednesdays were my free day for the most part. I did pick up Konohana Katan for Wednesdays, and anything that I didn't happen to get around to, like Black Clover and such like that, I would put off until Wednesday because I could watch it freely, that kind of thing, since I wasn't reviewing it or anything like that. And so this show comes out on Wednesday, and apparently a couple days earlier than what it's listed as the supposed release date on my anime list, and people are in a fervor about that over there as of the time of this recording. Change the release date because it's out already. But so I had nothing else to do, basically nothing else to watch right away, and I saw that it was out, and I decided to check it out. And I've had what I would characterize as an interesting reaction to it. Like, I'm not head over heels in love with it. I wasn't wholeheartedly riveted by it. And I think a lot of that is because I had a long day building up to actually setting down and watching it, a lot of errand running and things like that. So I'm exhausted. And I only had 2-3 hours sleep last night. So I'm pretty exhausted. And I was watching it relatively passively. Not a whole hell of a lot happens in it, but I found myself not really bored by it. I was enjoying watching it passively. It was a very calm, sort of relaxing watch, and there are certain shows that have been described that way that I don't get into at all whatsoever. But then, like Flying Witch, is a show that was very much passive and enjoyable to watch. Sweetness and Lightning is another example. And I kind of feel like that about this show. I'm not like bouncing off the walls about it, but I did enjoy it enough. And one of the things I think that kept me so attuned to it is, number one, the beautiful characterization, the art, I should say. The character, designs and things like that. Especially the main character, Akira, who embodies, and I think this might be why I stayed so glued to it from beginning to end, even though it was a passive watch. She is the anime equivalent, the closest possible animated equivalent to a girl I really had a big time crush on back in the day. Black hair, ponytail, not really, Asian, Japanese, or anything like that, as you would expect the character to actually be in the show, but Caucasian, but sort of raven black hair pulled back in a ponytail, and I was just smitten with her, and so this character, Akira, really visibly reminds me of her, and something about her, the way they do characterize the character, the characterization, the way she carries herself, the way she can get doe-eyed and things like that. Unfortunately, the real world girl comparison that I'm making, she would get doe-eyed, but not in my direction. Not, no holds barred, no way. No infatuation or reciprocation there for my part, but which sucked. But in the case of the character versus the girl I really knew, like, she had personality quirks and traits that were like that. Sometimes she would just gaze off into the distance, and I would wonder what she was thinking of, what she was fancying, what she was imagining, whatever like that. And there's a lot of moments in this episode that really sort of played on my nostalgia, my lovelorn side, unrequited love side, and my hopeless romantic aspect, where it's like I should be kind of off put by the age differences here. Like I'm not. They don't expressly say how old Akira is, but she's, I guess, in high school. She might be a senior. I don't remember if they mentioned it. But of course, she is smitten with the manager of the restaurant she ended up getting a job in because of the kindness he imparted to her on a rainy day, giving her coffee and doing a little magic trick to have this little cream, thing appear in his hand. And, she became smitten with him. I guess that was the impetus, the driving force for getting the job there. And he's 45 and he's divorced and, or at least his wife left him. He's got a child, and we're seeing a back and forth, a kind of, roller coaster back and forth reactionary equivalent on her part, where like when she finds out, oh, that's his kid, she drops a plate in the restaurant, her lunch for that day, and she's so livid and like, oh my God, how could I have been swooning over this guy and I didn't know anything about him? He's married, he's got a kid and all this stuff. Then she finds out the woman left him, she drops another plate subsequently, and then she's kind of looking at him, both still smitten, puppy dog eyes all over again, but also still spurning him like, I don't know what to think about you, And then when she has some alone time after the other girl, I think her name was Yui or something like that, the blonde who was the other waitress, she worked up the courage to ask her, in the restaurant, in our current surroundings, is there anyone you would think, like, is there anyone who's your type, who conforms to that? And she's like, when she brings up the manager, Masami is his name, this Yui girl, she's kind of like, him, he smells, So, of course, Masami's right around the corner and he hears all of this. And it kind of made me chuckle. And then, but later, you follow up with the real sort of puppy dog loving eyes of Akira, seeing, he changed his shirt and she's going over and embracing the shirt and smelling the shirt and everything like that. And I don't know, there is a charm to it. And I think, like I said, a large portion of that for me personally is the character design of her character just really strongly reminds me of somebody I thoroughly was smitten with and had a crush on. And the hopeless romantic side of me, like, there comes a time when an age gap, once you are of adult age, like, the age gap doesn't really matter. It's not really a question anymore, or it shouldn't be, at least. You have things like cougars and whatever they call the male equivalent, sugar daddies and things of that sort. Whatever makes the world go round, whatever floats your boat and whatever like that. I would have to fight to find anything that would have turned me off about it. Like, it wasn't, like a springboard of crazy pacing and storytelling and adventure, and it was very calm, it was very passive, very relaxing, and I just kind of, like, without any forethought, I just tuned into it immediately. I really warmed to the character design of Akira, and that went leaps and bounds in the direction of just making me want to watch it passively and see what in the hell was going on. Like, I was wondering for a while where this was going. I was waiting for something to happen. And there are times when, there are shows that nothing happens and it just aggravates the hell out of me. I kind of described that over on my Facebook account in my little write-up of Yuru Camp for the winter 2018 season. The whole first half of the episode, it just felt like nothing was happening, nothing interesting. And then when interesting things started to happen in that show, it was just kind of dull and dumb, and I didn't get a sense of the charm. And I can definitely see people reacting to this particular series similarly so. Like, nothing happened. It was boring. I didn't really get into it. Oh, it's got beautiful art or whatever like that. But there was nothing to grab onto. And for my part, having that real world aesthetic in the background, that nostalgia, that unrequited love thing, the hopeless romantic thing, thinking back to this girl that I had a thorough crush on. That's kind of what brought me in and kept me involved to start with. But then as things started to actually happen, as you have her, bounding off, learning more about her, that she has an injury, she was part of the track team, she's got the sporty girl in school lamenting that fact, who reminds me of the sort of sporty track girl from Ameagari or Guitaris from last season. Almost looks the spitting image, and then the fact that she is the track girl, so the sporty girl. But she's lamenting, and through her lamentations, we're learning more about Akira. We see the scar on her ankle and everything. She's no longer a runner, so she's gotten this job to coincide, I guess, with the last days of her schooling and whatever. And it's all because she is thoroughly smitten with this manager. And it's interesting how she is sympathetic toward him where everyone else makes fun of him and sees him as being an oaf and skittish and clumsy and absent-minded. And all of these qualities are things that she actually sympathizes with and is actually smitten with. And so, I mean, there's something to be said for that touches upon when you're in a relationship and it's all those little things the other person has going on for them. The way somebody like one girl I used to have a crush on, never went anywhere with, but I used to love the way she would sniffle as she laughed, and things like that. I mean, she really is observant of and smitten by all of these little things that would usually be an afterthought or other people would scoff. And there's something to be said for that. There's something to be said for holding my interest to that effect and wanting to see. I did end up reading the synopsis because I didn't really know what to make of what sort of story direction this show was going to take. And by the end of the episode, I was invested enough that I enjoyed it. I liked it. I liked her character design, as I say. But I didn't quite feel like I got a thorough read on where it was going. Like, is the crux of the story going to be her dealing with her feelings for the manager? Is she going to ever reveal that to him? What's his reaction going to be, and such like that? Because there is a fleeting moment in the episode where he's looking out as she has left and it's raining and she brought her own umbrella or whatever. He was going to give her one, and that one guy from her class or whatever, who constantly, twice in the episode, he's trying to it must be fate that we're both here at the same time, the same place. We want to exchange phone numbers and everything, and she's gone by the time he's done with his whole spiel. But when this guy first encounters her after she leaves the restaurant, the manager Masami's looking out the window, and for a fleeting moment, he imagines himself in that kid's place, calling back on his past, reminiscing in a sense. And so, looking at the synopsis, it did mention that she will reveal how she feels about him. I don't know how long it's going to take to get there. They might stave it off to the end of the frickin' series. It might be in the next episode. It might be 3 episodes away. I don't know. I don't know what the length of the series is going to be. But suddenly my intrigue went whoop that much higher, because now I want to know what in the hell what the reaction is gonna be. Are they actually how far, how deep are they willing to go down the rabbit hole of exploring a potential relationship? Will that be taboo? Will people surrounding them be not supportive of it and judgmental against it? Will they make fun of them? Will they actually be supportive? Will they be able to see where they're coming from? If anything does develop, will anything develop? Is the overarching question. And it's not something I'm not going to be covering it episodically in reviews, probably. discussions and things like that. I really feel like I almost didn't want to do this video because I almost felt like this is going to be the one show for the winter 2018 season that I keep to myself, that I'm just going to watch for myself, for my own entertainment. But I ended up wanting to talk about it because of the things that I related, you know, in my own past that it reminded me of, and kept me attuned to it. Again, the character design of Akira, very much embodying someone I once had a crush on, and kind of, I guess, as an extension of that, I see where she's coming from. I can identify with where she's coming from to a point. And so I'm really kind of curious to see where it's going to go. And so yeah, that's really all I have to say on the first episode of this particular series, Love is Like After the Rain. Or I'm going to refer to my little note sheet here one more time. Koi wa Ameagari no yo ni, I think. I probably am butchering the hell out of that. But I don't care. Suffice to say, I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below. If you watched the first episode, what you thought of it, love it or hate it, you know, a complete passive disinterest, whatever it happens to be. I already have a feeling some people are going to be like, I didn't really get into it. But I'd be really highly interested to learn why that is, and especially if you did get into it, if you do think you're going to be sticking with it and watching it, and you are curious about where it's going to go, how it might develop, as I am, you know, let me know that in the comments below. And so yeah. Otherwise, it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.